Hello, and welcome to Every Day is Funny. Sunday, May 12th, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all moms out there, the ones who listen to the show, and what the heck, even the ones who don't. I'm recording this a bit early for our afternoon tea because I'm going to celebrate brunch with my mother. And I thought for today's episode, I might switch it up a bit because I received another comics submission. And this is not one that the person drew, but they came across it on Facebook. And this person is a friend of mine, Shelly, who is also a mother as of last year. So I figure, why have me talk when I could cede the stage to an actual mother? And so we're going to go over the comic that Shelly submitted, and then I asked her to send me an audio clip of why she picked this comic, or what drew her to it, or how she found it. And so first, let's go over the comic. We have a family staring out of their home window, and some slugs are inhabiting their yard, drinking in the bird bath, walking across the grass. And the bottom dialogue says, "Kids, kids, the slugs are back." Now, I love this comic, and I'll talk more about my thoughts, but let's give the stage over to Shelly and listen to why she was drawn to the comic.
Hello. So I found this comic on Facebook. It did not naturally show up in my feed, but instead a different comic came across my feed, and as I have been listening to the show, I decided to give it a gander, and it was really bad. It was clearly AI generated. It was very lewd for no reason. It didn't make any sense. In hindsight, I should have screenshotted that comic as well. But whenever I see AI generated content on Facebook specifically, I get a lot of kicks out of reading the comments, because as we all know, Facebook is home to many old people, and old people and AI generated content just do not mix. And I just really love reading the comments of old people reacting to it. It's very funny. If you ever have the time to do so, you should be looking for that on Facebook. But as I was reading the comments, it kind of led me down a rabbit hole of looking at the page, which was not entirely AI content, but a lot of it was. Most of it was very raunchy, which for some reason also attracts old people, and I don't like to think about that. But amongst the rubble that was that Facebook page, I found this gem, and I was immediately drawn to it because of just the pure joy on the children's faces due to the presence of slugs. I wish I was that excited about anything, let alone slugs. And the more I looked at the comic, the more questions that came up in my head, particularly, is this some sort of tradition that they have in which the slugs come around the same time every year? Perhaps the slugs are brought in some capacity to their home. Maybe the grandmother is the one bringing the slugs, like the Easter Bunny brings eggs. Someone brings the slugs. And it seems that the grandfather in the back is also just very at peace with the tradition or the bringing of the slugs. He seems very borderline elated that the slugs are back, and that, you know, this tradition has continued. But yeah, so overall, I think the reason that I like this comic is just because I want to be a part of this family. You know, I want to be this excited about slugs.
Wow. Thank you, Shelley, for that insightful audio clip. It's true, there's something about the joy of this family upon witnessing a routine return of slugs that is wonderful and joyous. You'll notice it also came out in 1983, which I wasn't alive then. Maybe slugs were popping up more often and this was a topical sort of thing. Maybe that's something to ask your mom about on this Mother's Day. What was going on with slugs in 1983? But yes, I'm a bit confused by the narrative here. First off, Shelley mentioned the grandfather and grandma. I assumed that this was the kid's mom and dad. But there is a bit of an age difference. And it makes me feel like maybe there's something suspicious about them if they are the grandparents. Maybe they're trapping these kids. Because if they're getting excited about slugs in the backyard, I feel like the kids aren't allowed to leave the house a lot. And this is the most excitement that they tend to get. I mean, the slugs are beautiful. It's great that they're there. But the kids seem too excited. And yeah, the older gentleman in particular is looking as if this is a storied pastime. He seems like a traditionalist who, if the slugs did not return, would symbolize the decline of America and its values. But thankfully, everything is in its right place. But maybe they did plant the slugs for the kids' amusement. If it was an Easter Bunny thing, though, I don't think they would point out the slugs, because that would ruin the classic traditional April slug hunt. I don't know, I think Shelley and I would both love to hear everybody's thoughts on what's going on in this comic. Maybe we can set up a little poll. Is this a naturally occurring event? Did they plant the slugs there? And are they keeping the children hostage from ever seeing their parents again? Also, I don't know what's going on with the boy's pants, but it looks like there's like a massive rip and like a black spot. Maybe it's symbolizing like the divot where the leg things are, but something doesn't look right about that. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't worth bringing up. But it's a beautiful comic. And here we are, celebrating it over 40 years after its release. Isn't that beautiful? All right, now to move on with the remainder of our comics. I'm gonna go with some classics that I know involve mothers. And if a mother does not appear, I'm leaving the strip and I'm not gonna keep talking about it. That's my pledge. Because this is a day for mothers. The Slug comic had a mother or a grandmother. So we're gonna keep that consistency going. So let's take a look at Hi and Lois to start. Because we know Lois is a mother. We see two little ones running. The little girl says, "Come on, Chip." Chip says, "It's time." And then they, along with their two siblings, are in Hi and Lois's bedroom with two bowls of something, saying, "Happy Parents' Day." They say, "We combined Mother's Day and Father's Day into one holiday. Here's some breakfast in bed. And then they hand them flowers. The older kid says, and flowers for Mom. And then Hai says, does Daddy get to play golf? Very nice. Very nice of Hai to make it about himself and trying to bail on the holiday after his kids just put in the maximum effort of any children ever celebrating Mother's Day. They got up before their mom, bought flowers, made some bowls of cereal, and he is immediately trying to get out of the celebration. That's some classic dad stuff. It's weird that the one character, aside from the baby, to not speak in this comic is the mother. She's the only person, aside from the baby, who doesn't get a single line of dialogue. But all I said was the mother had to be in the comic. I did not say they had to speak. So this is fair game. Let's move on to Rex Morgan, MD, which, the mother was in it yesterday, so I'd say there's a chance that she'll pop up again. But if she doesn't, I'm not going to discuss the comic anymore. I'm going to say the mother's not in it, and I'm going to X out. The mother does appear. I'm scrolling down without reading. The mother will appear. So we're going to let this one slide. Wow, and I think this is a big time jump because we start with Sarah holding a dog leash with the two dogs. So she's back in action. She seems to be feeling better. And she says, come on, girls, time for your morning walk. Wow, so we are advancing to the next day. This might be the biggest time jump in Rex Morgan history. This is incredible. This is a Mother's Day miracle. The dogs bark. One of the sons says, can we come along? Sarah says, you want to help walk the dogs? Yeah, sure. Sarah says, okay, you can carry the bags and pick up after them. The son says, yuck, double yuck. Sarah says, having a pet means being responsible for them. That includes picking up after them. They say, I guess so. Rex's wife says, first introduction of the mother, happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Morgan. She says, breakfast will be ready when you get back, kids. The son says, okay, Mom. Rex says, wow, Sarah lecturing the boys on pet owners' responsibility. Who could have predicted that? And Rex's wife gets the last word of the strip. She says, me, after hearing you give her the same lecture 1,000,000 times. Wow, this is very interesting. A great Mother's Day edition. Because not only does the wife get the last word of the strip, we really see how she and Rex raised Sarah properly, instructing the kids on the responsibility of pet ownership. I will say, in critique of the strip, the first panel, again for some reason, has no background, and Sarah and the dogs exist in some purgatory white space. I don't know why they're allowed to just get away with that, but whatever. You know what I also like about this? The way the wife says, after hearing you give her the same lecture 1,000,000 times, does seem to be a bit of a meta commentary from the author about how often this comic strip repeats itself, but in a little sly way. I like that. A nice Mother's Day edition of Rex Morgan, MD. I'm simply going to comment, Happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Morgan. That's right, I'm going to keep it sweet today. All right, I think it's time to wind down on this Sunday, May 12th. Happy Mother's Day again to all the moms out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.